How you doing? Once again, it's the off night. How you doing? It's all on the road tonight. We're all crazy. We're all just out there. It's the off night. That's right. We're going out. It's holiday. We're trying to find places to stay. We're on the road. So well, at least I'll be on the road for another 20 minutes. So once again, welcome your host and MC, the guy who knows it all, Mr. Mark Sweetman.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going very good, Mark. We're trying to get the toys to the kids as fast as we can.
You're trying to get where?
Oh, we're trying to get the toys to the kids as fast as we can.
Oh, so even though the department stores have canceled Santa, you still have a Santa gig, is what you're saying.
Santa is basically a truck driver, the first truck driver. He has gear, but he's still a teamster as far as we're concerned. You know?
All right, Andy. Okay, don't want to burst your bubble here, but I don't think you have to worry about any kids watching this show. So you can.
Oh, okay. All right.
You don't have to put on any airs.
The thing isn't going to go.
Yeah, you don't have to
realize. I'm not saying there's kids watching the show, but the intelligence level could be at, shall we say, a kid level. Okay.
Well, look at who we're electing. So that tells you right there. So anyway, so this is great because you're our road reporter anyway, and so often I'd say about 1/5 of the time, 20% of the time we find you in a road situation. What's your deal tonight?
Tonight I've just been driving Uber all night and I haven't been able to get back. They keep sending me way out to I was out on Rochester and St. Clair Shores.
Yeah, that'll happen. I think you can put areas on your map, can't you, where you want to go?
They sometimes do that. I can sort of make a request,
right?
But then that's sort of like the end of the night type of thing.
Because I think I would think that if you wanted to, well, I don't know. If you get a long ride though, isn't that a big fare? If you have to drive out to St. Clair Shores, wouldn't that be a big? Because you're taking people there, right? You're not going out there to pick people up.
Yeah. So what I've been doing lately, because if I just did orders around down Ann Arbor, I'd only make like $50 in 6 hours.
Yeah.
So
$50.
What I do is I go out to the airport, and you sit at the airport, in a conga line, waiting for orders to come, and then I'll take that order wherever it sends me. I'll go there. I'll run some orders in that area. Then I'll return back to the airport to get another long distance run.
I tell you, you should hang out at my exit, and I'll tell you why. We're at 6 miles at our exit. We're at 6 Mile and 9275, and we got so many hotels, and there's a lot of airport runs too because it's a close area to the airport.
Yeah, I run passengers, not drug dealers. You know what I'm talking about?
All right. Well, stay listening here.
The only people I know that I can pick up at some areas it's not a drug dealer bin, but of course that's getting less and less these days.
All right. Well, I've got the missus here who's ready to. Oh, here she is. Who's ready to?
Okay, cool.
Who's ready to give us our poem? Oh, yeah, here it is. She's got it right there. Are you going to slide over here? All right.
Yeah.
I'll just slide. You know what we can do is we can. Okay, Andy, you're gonna be heard but not seen here for a moment.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Unless your car gets too loud, then I'll turn the sound off too. All right. Here's the.
Hi,
look at this. We got a
everybody.
2-shot. I like this.
Yeah, kind of nice. Oh, let me put on my brand new glasses.
Oh yeah, Susan got new glasses.
Costco.
There we
go. I might have to take them off to read this though.
All right, now for the people viewing for the first time, which would be all of our viewers, I think. But anyway, every week Susan writes a topical poem, and we use it as the outline for our show, except for last week where we kind of got off track. But normally we use this as an outline for the topics on our show. So here's Susan with the news.
I think it's the other way around. Usually you get off track.
Oh, is that what it is?
All right. Here's this week's poem. It's a lot of news, so you may not cover it all in an hour or 55 minutes, whatever you got left. All right. Here we go. December 6th, 2021. Bob Dole has passed, and we're all sad. Omicron's here, and that is bad. Medina Spirit, that beautiful horse, has died, and I'm very sad, of course. Oxford High School will not be the same. Parents of shooter shoulder the blame. Chris Cuomo fired for being a cad. Sexual misconduct should make us all mad. Maxwell on trial. Trafficking girls is obscene. New York City now mandates COVID vaccine. Jeffrey Clark in contempt for no response to subpoena. Welcome to Trump's undertow criminal arena. 80-year memorial on Pearl Harbor tomorrow. Remember the war, the pain, and the sorrow. Shipping troubles expected for our Santa Claus. Why not bypass the sleigh, give to a worthy cause? Pandemic stress, are we all insane? Detroit Lions finally won a game.
Hey, thank you, Susan.
Where's my round of applause? It went dark.
Oh no, that's my. I did that. My fault. Sorry. What did I do wrong here? All right. Oh no, I hit the wrong. Sorry.
He wanted to get rid of it.
No. I cut Andy off there by mistake. Now let's see if I can. I got his sound back. Let me see if I can get his picture back here.
I also get credit for helping find some quiz questions and things in the news.
Yeah, she found some. Quiz
so Mark's going to do that tonight. So make time for that.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. So that's that. Maybe I should have a pen with me now that I think about it. All right, Andy, it looks like it's you and me. I should go trolling for other guests here. Let me see what other people have told us. All right, well, anyway, back to so where are you now in the I guess it would be the metropolitan area. It's more than 3 counties now, so I can't say.
Out of Detroit, I am almost able. I'm just about to pull into Ypsi.
There we go.
I'll be in my house in about 5 to 10 minutes.
That sounds good. All right, I'm checking the sports calendar. It doesn't look like any of Sam's teams are playing tonight, so he can't use another excuse. What else have we got here? You know what? Sometimes when he has some medical treatments, I know he's fallen asleep before because it's so grueling. You know, he gets cancer treatment, so sometimes it's a little bit grueling for him on those days, and he falls asleep in his chair.
Yeah.
Let me see what else we got here. All right, I'm Mark Sweetman. There's my my co-host, my sidekick, my announcer, Andy Jensen. I'm getting my
night to snooze night.
It's the off night, yeah. And I'm not sure he does gigs anymore.
We have half of our guys are snoozing, you know.
Yeah, that could be. We could take care of things, though. I don't want to go into our meaty stuff until you're back in your house. So let's talk about light stuff while you're in the car.
Okay.
So any law changes since you've been doing Uber for drivers and pass? Any law changes as far as what's allowed, what's not allowed? I know at the airport they've set up areas where Ubers have to go to pick up at the airport and things like that.
Yeah, there's been a mass conspiracy by the airport for like the last 20 years. They have their own taxi service.
Right.
So they put them right in front of everybody, and they stick the ride shares all like in the parking lot.
Well, I know when I've used ride share there.
What's that?
Yeah, when I've used ride share there, the big complaint I've seen is that it's once you get there, it's pretty smooth running, but they don't make it easy to find the ride share place.
No, it's because they have their own taxi service.
They want people to take their own taxi service.
Exactly. They have their own Metro rides, or have their own limos. So they want their thing to be out there first. You know, they're the last surviving taxis in the city for the most part.
So all the
other taxi companies out there. There are individual guys who call themselves taxis, but there are few, if no, taxi services. Not in the way that they used to be, you know?
Well, it's hard to compete. It's really hard to compete with Uber and Lyft and everybody else.
Oh, yeah,
because you can see them where they're at. You can see where you're at. You can see where they're at on your phone. I mean, you know that you can match the driver's face with the actual driver,
Yeah.
you know, and the license plate.
You're coming off a little tinny. I can't hear you.
I said you can see with the apps, you can see who the driver is, you can see what the car is,
Yeah.
and I mean the people that have gotten in trouble are the ones that were stupid enough to get in the car that wasn't the driver or the license plate or thing, you know what I mean. But if you check all that stuff out, you're pretty good. And I know at Metro when I've gotten in one, they kind of pull in and you put your luggage in the trunk, so it's very easy to see if they have any bodies in the trunk. You know
Exactly. And usually it's well lit, so you can see blood stains in the back of the seat.
Exactly. Or make them put newspaper down before you sit in them. So
exactly. Now those aren't blood stains. That's just somebody spilled some a McDonald's back there. There you go. Yeah.
Now, do you get people that get funny about sitting in the front or sitting in the back?
Well, this is the one thing about the COVID. They let the drivers not give away the front seat, so it's just 3 in the back to keep the distance, which is great. That's the best part about it. Okay. And then you have to wear a mask. Everybody has to wear a mask inside the cabin. So once you take a passenger, you have to wear a mask. You don't wear a mask until you get a passenger, right? Yeah, I cannot. As long as once a passenger shows up, we both have to have masks on. Right. That's the COVID. Yeah, you know what? That is not a bad thing. Now that's a company policy, not a state of Michigan law, right? Yeah, it's a company policy because it's part of. Also, I think it's a universal transport policy. So I think it's also like a federal mandate in some respects. Okay. That taxis or services have to have people with masks inside. Yeah. So, I noticed, I don't know, I guess you kind of been following this. I've been out to Los Angeles a few times since things have calmed down. Well, since I got my booster, since I've been fully vaccinated, I've been able to travel. And I've noticed out there, they are much stricter about showing your COVID vaccination card and wearing a mask and all that kind of stuff. It does seem kind of silly when you're in a restaurant to be wearing the mask at all times until after the waiter takes you. When the food comes, you can take it off. So yeah, I guess the virus knows not to be an aerosol virus while you're eating, but I guess it gets dangerous again once you're done. But it's been, it's been fun. But boy, are restaurants expensive out in Los Angeles. Whew. Which I don't mind because I got one kid that's in the business and he makes a killing, waiting tables. He makes a killing. He makes more than I've ever made waiting tables. And I've had some good jobs. Oh, yeah. What places does he wait at in tables? He just waits at Dave & Buster's. He's been at Dave & Buster's. He was at Dave & Buster's here in Michigan. And his brother had the story on that was his brother had a bad roommate situation. And he wanted to get out, but he didn't have anyone that he knew that he could move in with. But he knew his brother, and so his brother Michael. You remember Michael and Gabe? They both did the Unclub. Yeah. And Chili's Dojos. Anyway, they still do some comedy out there, but not like they did when they were back here. But anyway, He said, why don't you come out here? So he looked into transferring his job. So he applied for a transfer from Livonia to Hollywood. And he got, he left here Friday night and started there Monday night. So that was a pretty good deal. Plus we found him a $117 Spirit Airlines flight. So it was almost a zero gain cost thing here. Zero sum, I guess they call it. A zero sum maneuver. Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. That's a nice Spirit Airlines. Yeah, did Spirit Airlines. Being nice to him, or he was being punished? Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines. I tell you what I don't like about Spirit Airlines. One, they left me in the gate area one time because I was sitting there and I was falling asleep and I had checked in, and so I'm just sitting there in the area and I fell asleep in the chair. And nobody bothered to wake me up. I had tags on my bags and everything, that were. And I was sitting there with my ticket in my hand, falling asleep. But anyway,
And then the other thing I don't like about them is they charge for they charge for carry-ons. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
I've pretty much flown Delta. Delta's more expensive, but now that they're all charging for bags, I get one bag up to 50 pounds for every ticketed passenger. So when we took two girls out to LA, it was like 4 bags. And we'll never take 4 bags worth of stuff. We don't stay long enough for that.
Wow.
So that works out nice. Because I'm on there. I can't remember what program I'm in. I think it has something to do with a credit card or something. I think it's the if I buy them on American Express card, I get one free bag with every ticket. So that works out. The best luggage deal is Amtrak. Holy crap! You can take a 70-pound bag, and you could take the biggest suitcase made.
Yeah.
And as long as it doesn't go over 70 pounds, they'll take it.
Oh yeah.
And the room on an Amtrak train, it's glorious. I mean, you just, when I got to get, for example, when we take these weekend trips to Los Angeles to be with our kids and stuff, we leave Friday night, return Monday night. Or my wife will take Friday off and we'll maybe leave Friday morning. So it's a quick trip. But once we get out there, we go into slow motion mode. So the 4 days seems like a long time. The 2 travel days, because we do it mostly at night, doesn't seem that big of a deal. So that we have to take a train. We could never do it on a plane. We wouldn't have time to be with our kids. But on the times we spend 1 or 2 weeks out there, that train is awesome. That 2 days on the train, you get a book read. You finish work because they got Wi-Fi now. So everybody, I'm doing the same crap I'd be doing at home. It's just on the train.
Now, do you buy the little cabin, or you go just coach?
We haven't done that yet because we've had kids with us, and there's barely enough room for 2 people. But we'll probably do that when my wife and I retire, and we're just traveling around for leisure and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Because the best part about the cabin is that all your meals come with that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the meal car separates the coach car from the cabin cars, from the sleeper cars. So you don't have to be with the riffraff when you buy the cabin.
Got it.
I shouldn't call them riffraff because that's what we are right now. We are the riffraff that they're being separated from. But and I've heard stories because I haven't been on the train since the pandemic, and I have heard stories that the service has really cut back on the trains. Yeah. I know they're not running as many trains. Biden's bill is going to get some money back into it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. I took a. Go ahead.
I said the food we got was served on a platter and it looked like it was cooked, and they say now you get it in a box and they bring it to your room because they don't even, they don't have because of the pandemic, they don't have a bunch of people in one room like that. And you're kind of, if you're in a coach car, you're kind of limited as to how much you can move around because they don't want people, they want people masked up and sitting in their seats and stay there, which makes, it makes sense. But then you want to be on a plane because it can only the longest it can last is 5 hours. The longest flight you can go from one side of the country to the other in 5 hours. So, I guess
2 days mass and just sitting there on a train can be a bit harsh, I think.
Yeah.
So, I took a train from South Bend to Toledo.
How was that?
It was okay. I mean, the seats are good. I mean,
they're great seats. They're great seats. You got electrical outlets. It's great.
Yeah, that's good. I wish there was more trains going to and from Detroit. That would be nice. The Chicago line actually works pretty well. So
there used to be a train from Chicago to Toronto, and when they cut that out, because it was run combined via Canada, the Via train in Canada and the Amtrak train, and they kind of ran it as a combined. You know how Northwest and Air France used to run combined flights, where they were sort of like both airlines were running, and sometimes you'd be on an Air France plane, sometimes you'd be on Northwest plane. It's kind of like that with the Chicago to Toronto. It sometimes be a via train, sometimes, but they cut that out about 2003, I think, because they couldn't run it with after the towers went down in New York and we started doing all this, checking everybody at the border.
Yeah.
That was the big hullabaloo with that. If you're going to, that would took the pleasure of taking the train from Toronto to Chicago or Chicago to Toronto sort of was exhausted.
Yeah.
So, with that, the service in Detroit got cut back. But when we take it to Los Angeles, we don't notice the difference because Detroit to Chicago is a good train. It's just that when you go to the East Coast, you're taking a bus to Toledo and catching a train there if you want to go to D.C. or New York.
Yeah. You have to do the hour bus ride.
Yeah, anything, like if you're going to Florida or Texas or out west, Chicago's not bad because you're going to go, except for Florida, you're going to go a little west anyway. But Texas, you're going to go west, and Missouri and Minnesota, everything is west of Chicago.
Yeah. Well, I was watching. Did you watch that Ken Burns thing on the national parks?
No, I didn't. But we got the PBS channel. We got the PBS.
Very good.
Channel. I'll have to look it up.
Well, I found out. Well, back in those days, in the early days, the trains tried to divide up who was going to service which national park. So there was a big fight between the different trains. Like the Pacific wanted certain ones, the Central wanted this, the South Santa Fe wanted others. So
they're saying one of the problems with U.S. rail service in the U.S. and why it isn't as good at, people go to China and India and Europe, and you could take a train anywhere. Italy, for a country the size of Italy, it's just astonishing how many trains they have, and it's so much. In fact, their national airline just went bankrupt because they can't compete. They can't compete with the trains to the domestic cities within Italy, and they can't compete with all the other international airlines for flights out of Italy. Because people don't think about, you're flying from Rome to London, you're going to take British Airlines or American Airlines or United or Lufthansa or even Turkish Airlines flies better flights from Rome to London than the Italian airline does. But Italy's got so many trains. I mean, it's just they're train happy. But in a way that kind of makes sense because it's such a mountainous area, and I would think that Italy would be a mess of a drive anyway, even if it was easy to drive the car, but it's hard. All those mountains and
and the roads are basically meant for horse carts,
Exactly.
So it's like trying to be able to drive in those areas is just totally crazy.
And when you think of the width that a train only needs one car lane.
Yeah.
And can you imagine how our highways would be if they were only one lane wide? We got to have at least 3 lanes to make our highways worth a damn.
Well, yeah, I experienced our highways. It's not, 59 turns into Hall Road, and it's the biggest mess up in.
Oh, I know where you're talking. Up by Lakeside Mall and
just
Macomb County Community College. I know where you're talking about.
I mean, I have flashbacks to L.A. from that place up there.
Oh, speaking of that, I don't know if I mentioned it on the show I did from L.A., but driving out in L.A. during a pandemic, it's beautiful. It is. It's the L.A. that people moved to for in the 50s. That's why everybody flocked to California in the 50s. It became a holy hell when all the cars got out there.
Yeah.
But with the pandemic and everybody working my son works, and my son, who's the waiter, obviously has to go into work, but my other boy, he works from home, and he's got a Toyota Prius that is a hybrid, which means it's got an electric engine that can basically get you to the gas station if you run out of gas. It gets 17 miles to a charge. Well, I don't think he's put gas in it this year. I mean, he never goes anywhere. He lives in a city that you're passing 8 grocery stores if you drive 17 miles. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
he can. There's a post office on his block. There's a library on his block, and he lives in the city. There's, we get up in the morning to get coffee. They don't drink coffee, so we had to go out and get coffee every morning. So it's like, oh, do we walk to the 7-Eleven and Starbucks? It's a block south, or do we walk to the 7-Eleven and Starbucks? It's a block north. So and the weather's always great. And they're complaining about the cost, and I'm saying, you guys got to look at what you're buying here, because I could easily see if they're looking at that cost, if they moved anywhere else outside of that neighborhood, they'd have to buy a car, and then there goes your right now you're only paying $1,100 instead of $2,100 for your apartment, but exactly. Now that cost is going into running your car all day long. So
yeah, oh yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's like I remember the only place that was cheap enough, I had enough money to go and eat was the 7-Elevens, man.
I tell you what, they're expensive now, but you know what? It was so funny because we had gotten, we went there and they said, and they're all run by immigrants, and I think they live there. I think they in the apartment above the 7-Eleven, I think their whole family is there because it's like they all yell at each other like they're family members, because no employee would take that kind of abuse from an employer, So I figure they're all related. They got to be, right?
Yeah,
and
related. Yeah,
yell at you in a language you don't know. Nobody there speaks English. Even the Spanish speaking people are going, I speak Spanish.
Hey, this is a Spanish speaking area.
This is California. You speak Spanish, buddy.
Speak Spanish, buddy.
So anyway, so this Indian couple gets us signed up for their frequent buyer card or whatever it was, and oh my god, we're like every morning after that we're like having breakfast every morning there. It was like a giant coffee and this huge muffin for $2. I'm going, oh my god, there's so much I baggied the thing. I had the second half of it for lunch. This is crazy.
Well, they had those that was the first time I experienced those very hot Mexican sausages out there. So they had the so it was like, it wasn't kielbasa, but they had like sausages and these. So that's what I lived on for like six weeks when I was out there helping out. What's his name? Rico out there.
Oh, okay.
So it's interesting. Tim Henning also knows who Rico is. So
didn't you guys room out there over in Toluca Lake or something like that? Or was that just Tim?
No, he stayed. I went out there for about a week with him, and he ended up staying out there, and he stayed out there for 2 years, and did the extra gig thing, and he got himself a speaking role. At least he had one line in a Jane Fonda movie of some sort. So.
We had a next door neighbor for a while. We lived in a duplex out there back in the 80s, and we had this couple that lived on the other side of the duplex. They were from Alabama, and he worked for the city, and he was a laborer, like a handyman. So one day he would be on the electrical truck, another day he would be on the plumbing truck. You know what I mean? But whenever the city needed something repaired, you'd always see those city trucks. And whenever there's a water main break, you always see these guys there. There's about 18 of them, and 3 of them are working. But anyway, he was one of those guys. And so she did extra work. And I says, do you ever get a part bigger than extra? She goes, I don't want it. I get $80 in a box lunch. If I had a regular part, I'd have to go in for makeup. I'd have to get in at 4 and 5 in the morning. I love showing up at 8 o'clock. $80 in a box lunch. My brother did that for a while. The biggest part he ever had was in the Al Capone made-for-TV film when they busted the speakeasy. He was the first guy out the door when the police come rushing in. He's the first guy, and they did all the shots of Minzer, the police coming in, but then they show guys going out the back door, and he's the first guy. He comes out, he looks left, he looks right, and then he runs left. That was his big Hollywood moment.
Got it. Well, at least it's on its way out to the stars. So he's got his immortality.
And my son has been in some films since he went out there in 2013. 19, so he's been out there 8 years now. One's been out there 8 years, one's been out there 6. But he got a part in a bunch of these you say low budget, you think they're student films, but these things find a market. It's unbelievable. If you make a film that lasts 90 minutes and it looks like, it had lighting and directing and, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be great. And you don't have to do the dubbing. You send it to another country, they'll do the dubbing in that other country or something like that. But, they make money. Gary was telling me about this. Gary was telling me about how, some of his films made more money in Bollywood than they did in Hollywood.
Wow. Well, that's pretty interesting. So in India, India still has like a lot of theaters. They still,
Oh, India's huge. India's film industry is huge. Yeah. My wife got hooked on Bollywood films in the pandemic, and she'll say, "You got to see this." I go, "It's 3.5 hours long." She goes, "It needs to be 3.5 hours long." I mean, that's how long that's how long it takes to tell this, because they tell their culture and their country's history in films. There's not a lot of, you know what I mean? That's a big country, and there's a lot of people that get their education from watching films.
Wow.
And so, that means there's a lot of directive from the government in a lot of those films, but they fund a lot of it. They're thinking, you know what? And we got a bunch of people that dropped out of school, but we can get them educated just by having them go to the movies on Friday and Saturday night. As long as they, as long as the girls' parents are a couple rows behind them, we don't have to worry about them getting into any trouble in the movies. Maybe they'll learn something. But some of them are great films. Some of our great films will be very serious films, and there'll be violence and action, just like our films. And then they'll end with a musical number where the whole cast gets up and dance. So you're looking at them all dancing in the streets, going, "Didn't they kill that guy 2 scenes ago?" He's up dancing with them.
Exactly, he's doing a dance.
Every film ends with a dance. I love them though; they're great.
Yeah, over at the rave, they have those nights, those Bollywood nights. So every Saturday night, they have a complete screening dedicated to Bollywood, and they can fill it up.
Where's this at?
It's in the rave. It's in Ypsilanti.
Oh, okay.
We have a lot of students from India. We have a lot of students from Pakistan. That fills right up.
We had before the Livonia Mall got torn down, which happened when Sears closed and Walmart bought it and ripped it down and put their own store up. Our Livonia Mall had a theater, and it had, I think it had 4 screens, and one of them was always Bollywood. There were, and of course, it made sense. They made it the end one, so that everything was, everybody knew to go to the right for Bollywood, And so, but it was great because it kept that theater, those Bollywood films kept that theater open for a while, because you go in and see the new Sylvester Stallone film that wasn't Rocky, because he doesn't really have a lot of hits unless they're Rocky, So you go to one of those films, and there wasn't anybody in the theater, so the money was being made by all these people in the Bollywood films. In fact, the last film I saw there before they ripped it down was the 3rd one of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Was that the name of the?
Return of the King, yeah.
That was the good one, I called it, because the first 2 kind of bored me to tears, but that 3rd one was pretty good.
There was good. Well, it's the first 2 were basically just preparing you for the 3rd one.
Basically that's what it was. Yep.
4 hours of prequel
of set. Yeah, 4 hours. 4 hours of setup for the punchline. So.
Yeah. So it was kind of. Actually, the middle one was tough, because I was like, you knew that it wasn't gonna finish it off.
Did you read the book? The book was even worse. The book was.
Yeah, honestly, I tried reading the book, and I kept falling asleep.
Well, if you read the trilogy, read the first one's a good read. Actually, the book I like better than the movie. The 3rd one I like the movie better than the book, but the middle one, both the book and the movie sucked.
Yeah,
it was all military stuff. It was if you had been in the Army or the Navy, some of that stuff would have been very exciting for you. Not for me. Not so much for me.
Yeah, you want characters and stuff. See, for me, I am not really a big fantasy person because, well, a case in point, all the elves and all the hobbits were stuck on that mountain, and there was no conceivable way of getting out. And instead of like saying sci-fi, where they come up with like a scientific way of doing it, or they come up with some sort of a logical, reasoned way to do it. Well, all Gandalf did is, I'm gonna call these large birds, and they will come and take us away.
Yeah.
Hey, we never heard about the birds beginning. We never understood about, but suddenly they just popped out of nowhere. You know, it's like, okay.
Why didn't you call these birds 2 books ago?
Exactly. You know, why are they riding the birds in like the Flight of the Valkyries? But no.
We got to crawl through all this crap, you know.
Yeah, it's like, you know, and it's like, all right, somebody has a problem. Here's an amulet. You know, it's like, okay, all right. John kind of drives me a little crazy. So,
hey, Andy, I just noticed on my dashboard here, we've got 1 viewer. So,
Steve is Tim.
What's that? I'd like to invite that viewer to go ahead and join us on YouTube and make a comment. Tell us about the show. Tell us who you'd like to see in coming episodes. I don't know. What do you give us some ideas? We were going to do a news quiz tonight, but it's just Andy and me. Oh, I know what this isn't on the quiz, and it wasn't in the poem, so it's not like I'm wasting material here. Have you seen the Beatles documentary?
No, I have not.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, same director. I have never watched 9 hours of film and thought it was not long enough. I mean, usually we were talking about Lord of the Rings, you know, same director, which makes sense. It'd be 9 hours again. But for some reason, this footage that they had, and obviously it was repaired because this is 69. So we're talking 53-year-old footage. You know what I mean? It could not have. I mean, it was acetate. It was celluloid. How could it have lasted unless they, you know, computer enhanced it and stuff like that? But it was just so enjoyable. And the best part for me was, I don't know who. Yoko Ono has always been the villain in the Beatles breakup.
Yeah.
And you watch this film and you think, she got blamed for something that really probably wasn't her fault. Because, I mean, she did sing a few times, and you wish she hadn't. Maybe in the original film she sang more, which would turn people off. I mean, her singing is horrible. Mm-hmm. But as far as, you know, being the bitch that broke up the Beatles, you just don't see it in this film. Now, maybe they took that stuff out or whatever, but I mean, it was a fun film to watch. Just watching their creative process and seeing all the people that, you know, by this time, this was their 12th album, actually their 11th, because during the filming of this, they were writing songs for both Abbey Road and for Let It Be.
Oh, yeah.
Let It Be was the album that came out of this session, but it was released after Abbey Road, which, you know, there's a whole story behind that, which isn't explained on the film because they didn't have footage of that. So, but in other interviews, I've seen that. But it was an enjoyable film, and I enjoyed seeing them discuss. You know, George Harrison was mostly the lead guitarist, and John Lennon the rhythm guitarist, and Paul was bassist and piano, keyboards. Billy Preston, do you remember Billy Preston?
No.
The R&B singer he was an R&B singer from the 60s and 70s. Also passed away too young. He died in like 2004 or something like that. But anyway, he was often called the fifth Beatle because he appeared on these last 2 albums on the keyboard. And some of the things that, you know, I might have always thought were Paul turned out to be Billy Preston. And the story, as it turns out, is he comes by the studio because he's in London doing something else, I think visiting a girl or something. And they had known each other since Hamburg, Germany, when they were both in Germany, the Beatles as the Quarrymen or whatever their band was back then. We're talking about, you know, 1959 Beatles. And Billy Preston was playing with Little Richard. Of course, Billy Preston had more probably in common with the Beatles than he did with Little Richard, so they just would hang out. And a lot of times they would play the same gigs, or they'd be next door to each other. Hamburg, Germany was like a real rock and roll mecca type of place. There were a lot of American bands there. Anyway, so they knew each other, and he comes by because he hears they're at their Apple studio. And that's not where they started this album recording. They started at some movie theater because they were going to do a TV special along with the release of the album. But anyway, they decided to go back. When George Harrison leaves the band because he's upset with, can't tell if he was upset with Paul McCartney or what they were doing or what he was being asked to do, he leaves. So they spent a whole weekend talking him into it, and they agree that he'll come back. They'll go back to Apple Studios if he comes back to the band. So now there's where Billy Preston walks in. He was just there. It was the luckiest thing you could ever think of. It was just the most happenstance thing you could think of. They didn't invite him. They were talking about getting Nicky Hopkins, who played keyboard sometimes for the Rolling Stones, a British guy. But he shows up and he sits down and he starts noodling around with them. And that's how they wrote a lot of their songs. It would be, I'll get this idea for a song. They'd play a few bars, and then the other musicians would kind of fill in. And then, all right, we need a lyric for that. And so Billy Preston became part of that for their last two albums. And that was an exciting thing to see.
Wow.
So the Billy Preston thing and the Yoko Ono thing. And of course, Linda McCartney was there, and I don't think they were quite married yet. And she had a son from a previous marriage, or a daughter, Heather. The daughter was. You got to see the kids, and it was just. I expect. Here's my image. Another thing that surprised me. It surprised me, but it didn't upset me. Was they didn't do any dope. I thought for sure when you saw for as much as I was indoctrinated that they were a bunch of pinko commie fags,
Yeah.
They were junky pinko commie fags that these guys were going to be smoking dope and there'd be orgies and all kinds of stuff. And really, the only woman that was around was Yoko, and there was no hanky panky. It was all business all the time, and she never interrupted or disrupted. They did smoke a lot of cigarettes. That was noticeable. But it was 1969. If you saw this in 69 when it was filmed, you wouldn't have thought they were smoking a lot. When you're watching it in 2021, they're like smokestacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that George Harrison was the only one that died of emphysema is, I guess Paul and Ringo quit in time. And, of course, John never had a chance to catch any lung diseases. So,
yeah. So George kept smoking, or George was a big smoker?
I guess. Well, he was, and they were all big smokers in this thing. I think. And like I said, 2021, it looks like they smoked a lot. Like I said, in 1969, I smoked based on secondhand. What we know about secondhand smoke now. In '69, I smoked that much. You know what I mean? Because I probably filled my lungs with all my dad's secondhand smoke because my dad had cigarettes going all the time in our house.
Oh yeah. I have a lung dedicated to Camels for my dad. So,
no, there you go.
It was always a question. The fight was, do you want to sit in the back and inhale the tailpipe because the Mountain Dew can is connecting the muffler to the tailpipe, and then coming up in the back of the satellite, or do you want to sit next to Dad, and he won't let you crack the window, and you're constantly smoking, and you're constantly in a blue haze of Camel smoke. So that was the big decision when we went on vacation with Dad. So do you want the Coke can smell of the muffler that's leaking up through the back of the car, or do you want to sit next to Dad as he chain smokes Camel Straights, no filter, Camel Straights? You can't take the smokes away from those Navy guys,
No. Well, it could be worse. I mean, we used to complain that the window was only down for the ashes to be flicked out, and if you're in the back seat, the ashes would be flicked back into your face because that's what happens when those weren't aerodynamic cars back then. All the air went out the front window and in the back window, and as bad as I thought that was. I had a friend when I was a kid. He goes, "Yeah, well, you're lucky. It's just smoke." My dad chews tobacco.
Oh,
I know.
You gotta keep that window closed, man. There we go.
Yeah. Well, you almost home?
I am home.
Oh, you're doing the show for me. All right.
Let's
Let's
get
get
to
to
the
the.
car, doing the show in the car. So
No, that works. All right. We want to get to the. Let's get to the news items here, and then
contest, the news. Okay.
we think. Well, and we get. Let's see. Bob Dole. Any comments on Bob Dole? I mean,
Well, Bob Dole would comment on Bob Dole. Bob Dole would comment about Bob Dole. You know,
Bob Dole doesn't do
Dole always
that.
knows what Bob Dole wants to do.
They ran the clip from Saturday Night Live when he was on.
Oh yeah.
And he says, and he has a scene with Norm Macdonald, who just passed away a few weeks ago, where Norm Macdonald played Bob Dole, and Bob Dole comes on and goes, "Your Bob Dole doesn't sound like me. Your Bob Dole always refers to Bob Dole as Bob Dole. Bob Dole doesn't speak. Bob Dole doesn't speak about people in third person. I should know. I should know because I know Bob Dole personally." It was a funny bit for both of them, both Norm Macdonald and for Bob Dole. But the line I wrote, I put on Facebook. I didn't get too many responses, which I don't for the stuff that I think is controversial. But I don't think I think it's pretty true. But some people take it the wrong way. I said Bob Dole passed away. Countdown for when Trump shits on him. Because every time somebody of any sort of dignity passes, Trump has to compare himself to them and say how much better he was, and just basically shit on him. Was what I meant.
Just call Bob Dole a loser because you didn't win. That's right, Bob Dole's a loser. You didn't win. There we go. Sam's on. I hear Sam.
Oh, I don't see him.
Oh,
is he? I saw him. Oh, he's got a bunch of Z's in my text message.
Yeah,
but I don't see him on the screen.
Okay.
Oh, he must have. I'm going to ask him if he fell asleep.
Maybe he's falling asleep to what we're talking about. But anyway, Bob Dole was a hatchet man for Nixon.
Yeah, he was a senator. I mean, somebody's got to be in the. Somebody's got to be in the. Rennie Stoyer is in that position now, so I mean, it's just whoever's there.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do that party work. Anyway, I did some research on Omicron. My wife and I started, and we may still have time to do this, but Omicron has the same. It's not a rhyme, but it's got the same cadence as Kodachrome. And that was a song I thought fun. And I thought we could do a good song parody. Call it Omicron. Omicron.
Yeah. With the
backed up lungs and make you cough up lungs. Anyway,
I can't remember that the Kodak song.
Kodachrome. It was called Kodachrome. It was Paul Simon. He says, "I got a Nikon camera. I like to take my photographs. Mama's going to take my Kodachrome. Mama's going to take my Kodachrome. Mama's going to take my Kodachrome away." Hey, you remember that? Anyway, so I thought Omicron that'd be a good song to do a parody. Omicron is in the Greek alphabet. Here's some things I didn't know, and I should know because I complain that we're not giving everyone a liberal education because it's called liberal education. Do you realize that people are against liberal arts because they're called liberal arts? And all we're talking about is Western civilization.
Yeah.
But, fucking people are idiots. Omicron is in the Greek alphabet. Do you know what the equivalent is in the current English alphabet?
Omicron, what it would be in the English alphabet?
Yep. Because if you look at the Greek alphabet, you'll see alpha and omega, gamma, delta, and it goes sort of like A, B, C, D. You can see how our alphabet lines up with theirs. Epsilon comes after delta. That's the E. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Omicron is what? It's not omega. It's actually Omicron means, in some Old Greek, means the small omega. Because they were the omega and the Omicron at that time were sort of shaped the same. And so they made the Omicron, it means small omega. But it was also meant a couple other things. It's in the order. Since they named these variants by the Greek alphabet, what's the next variant going to be? Part of our news quiz.
Oh, so what is Omicron? Where is Omicron in the list?
Yeah, so Omicron is about halfway through, a little bit more than halfway through. The next one will be pi.
Pi.
So Omicron equals O in the English, and pi equals the letter P. So pi, the next variant will be pi. And we didn't hear of any of the variants between Delta and Omicron because they weren't variants that were that contagious. We're only hearing about the contagious ones. So, and before we named them Delta, the first couple, one was named the English variant, and the other one was called the Israeli variant or something. You know what I mean? They were named them after the countries.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Chinese variant, the English variant. The Italian. There was the Italian one too. So anyway, Omicron in the Greek alphabet was also used for numerals for counting.
Oh.
Now, in modern Greek, they use the Arabic numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like we're used to 1 to 10, 0 to 9, basically. They in a base 10 system. So Greek still uses the Arabic. Everybody uses Arabic now, but the Greek alphabet is still used for the ordinal, not the ordinal. There's the cardinal and the ordinal. The cardinal numbers are the 1, 2, 3, 4. The ordinal numbers are the first, second, third. And Greek uses the Greek alphabet for ordinal numbers. Guess which number, this will be difficult too because it's not 0 through 9. Guess which number Omicron represents?
9?
Nope. 70.
8?
70.
Wow.
770.
Wow. Now, this would be good work for your filibuster when you become senator, okay?
Yes. Oh, my God. I'm going to be, I tell you what, we got to get rid of the filibuster law just because of Wikipedia. Wikipedia on a phone will keep a senator going for 8 weeks. They could just, they could just keep hitting that continue button and just keep going and going. And they can go down rabbit holes. They can have assistants making notes. Where was I 3 hours ago? Oh, yeah. So you wanted your center pole in the pup tent to also be your opening,
Yes, exactly.
Giving how to make a pup tent instructions,
They'll, what the Republicans will do is we'll throw out the filibuster, but we want the Wikipedia. So, they'll declare a wiki and a wiki talk.
You know what though? Would it be great is if we could grade people. We could grade people on their filibuster speeches.
True. Yeah. Well, the best filibusters were always by Senator Byrd. And he was always quoting Greek mythology when he was trying to. It didn't matter what it was, It could be just simply getting extra toilets to the poor people in the state, but he somehow incorporate Cassius and Brutus into the mix.
Right.
Did Cassius say I did not want a urn to get rid of my waste? Or Brutus says, thou hast pissed upon me, and I will not allow thee to piss on my world. Quoting.
What else we got here? They caught they caught the parents of the teen shooter. I tell you what, the teen's defense is only helped by batshit crazy parents.
Ah, yes.
Don't you think so?
Yeah. If they're batshit crazy, he could get off.
There was a story and it was in an Oakland County paper, but because we have internet, everybody gets to read everybody else's news now. But it was a story about a woman who once worked at a local Oxford restaurant with the mother, and she was saying they would always want me to go out with them after the shift, late at night partying and stuff like that downtown. By downtown she meant Oxford, so as downtown as that can be. And she said, don't you have a son? He could take care of himself. He was 10 at the time. And so, like,
Wow.
and they also had a neighbor that said this kid at like 10, 11, 12, this kid was always coming over because his parents weren't home and they didn't give him a phone. So he would come over and borrow their phone to call his parents to find out when they were coming home and stuff like that. So not a whole lot of decent parenting going on. But these stories can only help this kid's defense. Not that there's any excuse for a kid popping off people in school, but I would. The kid just got a. Here's the other thing too. The parents got themselves attorney. They never got their son attorney. The kid just got his attorney today. Got a court appointed attorney. They went and hired attorneys, and they let their son get a court appointed attorney. Now that's some great parenting, huh? But guess who they got? I think the mother got. I don't know who the dad got, but the mother got the lawyer that represented Larry Nassar, the gymnastic.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. So that's got to help you. That's like.
Well, did they have massive amounts of money or something?
Didn't they what?
Do they have massive amounts of money? How do they get Nassar?
I don't know. They don't have massive. I saw a story where the father at one time made a 6-figure salary, but he doesn't currently. They had some hard times when mom was the only wage earner. I mean, they're not hurting, but they're not they're not wealthy. They had enough money to take $4,000 out of their bank when they went on the lam. So they at least had some savings. So, I know people in my neighborhood that don't have $4,000 in savings. So I mean, you can't really, unless they,
some people on TV who don't have $4,000 in savings.
There you go. Unless they're dirt, unless you're dirt poor and got absolutely nothing and are homeless, or you're beyond rich that you don't even know what money is. Everything else is middle class, or should be, but
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's at least Michigan. I always say this is about Michigan. We hadn't had a school shooting, and I said when we have one, it'll be interesting, and it is. We got an interesting. Chris Cuomo.
They say this is the first time that parents have been prosecuted, or possibly going to be prosecuted for the events of their son.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. I thought the National Rifle Association would have come out with some statement about them, because the father bought the gun. So this is interesting too. The father bought the gun and he did it legally. Everything was legal in everything they did except for the kids shooting people. That's not legal, but everything else was legal. Now, I don't know if a 15-year-old is allowed to carry a gun or possess a gun or whatever. There's probably laws against it just because they're not a minor, but that's where the parents have to take some responsibility, and that's why I think they got charged. But it's interesting because I think now parents will be looked at in every case after this.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, to purchase a gun for your kid, especially a handgun. I mean, this isn't like a shotgun. This is not a hunting gun. This is a handgun.
It fit in his backpack.
Yeah. So what are you thinking? It's like, is he going to a school where he needs protection? Is Oxford really like a horrible place to go? What is he going? What is he? And it's like you tell him it's his gun, but you don't put it away or lock it away.
Well, what's interesting is the warehouse where they caught him is a block. It's a block, 2 blocks at most away from Martin Luther King Junior High School in Detroit.
Yeah,
and they'd never let their kid go there. Too dangerous.
Exactly. I'm kind of like, so what was the mindset behind getting him the gun? I don't really understand that.
I think they got it for him as a Christmas present. In fact, the mom had tweeted or either tweeted or Facebook posted that she had gone out target practice shooting. They were gun people. They went out target practice on Saturday.
Well, that's fine, but where do they target practice? I mean, what I'm saying is, like, there are gun clubs that you can leave your gun there and you can target practice there. Are you talking about just shooting cans out in the field?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. It's Oxford. They could go a lot of places in Oxford and shoot the gun. Plus, it's deer hunting season. They could have, anywhere in the woods they can go out. There's a shitload of guns out there right now.
Yeah, but handguns. I mean, handguns is like the last thing you use to shoot a deer. I mean,
But it's not illegal.
no, it's not illegal.
In fact, it's not illegal to use an assault rifle either. Although I don't think it's very fair to the deer. Give them a chance.
No, it's like, well, supposedly they can only shoot single shots at a time. You can't rip off a whole clip.
So it can't be. So it can't be like you're killing people. You got to kill. You got to be. So the people, right? The people that kill people don't follow the rules. So I don't think they're going to follow the rules when shooting deer.
Exactly. So so it can't buzz off a clip. But a handgun can do that. So a rifle is not. A rifle has a catch that doesn't let you shoot it off like on a stream.
Somebody asked me if I had guns in the house. I go, I'm not going to tell you if I don't. Oh no, we don't have any guns. Why would I say that to somebody? Even if I would think that's one thing that if people ask you if you have guns. Yeah, are you kidding me? I'm armed to the hilt, and I'm crazy about it too. I'm a nut. I
got more guns than I know what to do with. I got them under a bed. I got them buried outside.
I got gun. In fact, I got explosives that go off if somebody gets into my gun bunker. So.
There you go. Well, you're just using the Israeli approach towards nuclear weapons. You never say that you have them, but you never say that you don't.
Exactly. So why spend all that money to make them when people think you got them?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I always thought that was the Soviet approach. I always thought they had more than we did. Or, I mean, we had more than they did, but they would always act like they had more. They would run empty tubes around the country, making it look like they were burying missiles. That's not a bad idea. It's a lot cheaper than actually developing weapons, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, what else we got here? Let me see. The Lions won a game. That was kind of exciting.
Did you watch the whole game?
I watched all but the third period. I watched until halftime. Then my wife says she had something for me to do. I'm going to wait till halftime. And so at halftime, I started doing this task for my wife. And I was like, by the time I got back to the game, I'd missed the third period. So,
got it. Well, I was listening to it on the radio. My driving. So I was driving the Saturday, Sunday. So I had to listen to it on the radio. And I was tuning in off and on when people would get out of the car. So I was extremely excited. It was 20-3. Then as I started to creep up 20-15, I kind of go, I can't take this. My heart's not gonna be able to take this. So I shut it off, and I waited till after the game was done, because I have a problem. I cannot take the tension.
Here's something that's kind of interesting, I think, anyway. If Minnesota, if the Lions stopped Minnesota twice on a 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
So I think that 2 points could have made a difference.
Yeah.
And if not with the final score, at least with that final drive. Because if they could have just kicked a field goal to tie it, you know what I mean? They wouldn't have had to go for the touchdown.
Yeah. Well, I have a theory about this whole the kickoff thing. I think Detroit does not have very fast or very good defensive backs at this point. They have one guy that's pretty good, but the other two don't do so well.
Well, we knew that. We knew that going in, and they decided to work on the. They started to work on the line, on the offensive line before they. So this year when we get our number one draft pick, we'll probably get a quarterback. We get two number ones this year because we get Los Angeles's too for Stafford.
Well, we got two new linemen in the drafts of this year.
Right.
Defensive linemen. So we got two defensive linemen, two new guys, and we got a series of offensive linemen too. And they're all working out great.
Well, the number one pick, I would say for all of them for rookies are doing great. And the kid that caught the winning touchdown was a rookie too. I mean, they had a good draft class. I'd say they had a good draft class, and it's just Yeah,
but I think Campbell, what he's doing to save the defense and why the defense is actually working, is that he's letting the quarterbacks get him to the 20-yard line or get him to the 30-yard line. So like they start off on the 20, they have like 50 yards in between. He lets them throw a long pass to get them into the red zone, because once you get them into the red zone, the running doesn't really matter that much.
Right.
Like how fast your quarterback, your defensive backs can run doesn't matter, because they're already in a tight situation anyway.
Right.
And it emphasizes the defensive line to be able to do the rush. So
well, you need, in this league, because it's such a passing league, you need rushing, because you can't give the quarterback so much time. I mean, there's 4 or 5 decent receivers on every play. You know what I mean? The tight end's a good – all around the league now, the tight end's a great receiver. We got one of the best ones in that Hawkinson kid. I mean, he's one of the best tight ends. He's one of the best tight ends in the game. We picked him number 1. We knew that.
Yeah.
Remember, everybody gave him such a hard time for taking a tight end as number 1. You could have gotten him in the next round, blah, blah, blah. But the draft shows that's not necessarily true. A lot of people are taking tight ends.
Yeah.
It's just become more of a passing league. But you do need that run to establish the pass.
Yeah.
But it was a good game for the quarterback too, because we knew we were downgrading in quarterback when we traded Matt Stafford. But this kid had been to the Super Bowl with the Rams, so I think there was some hope. But and I don't think he's a second string quarterback either. I think he could start. He could start for other teams, but if we get a better quarterback, we might go with that.
Yeah, they might, for the next draft, they might try and get a quarterback, which I think is kind of I wouldn't waste it on a quarterback. I wouldn't either, just because there's not that many good quarterbacks out there this year. Yeah. So I think the running backs are what we need. He would be perfect as a handoff man to 4 good running backs.
Well, I tell you what, if they, I don't know if Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan is going to be available for their second first-round pick. But he would, and I'm not sure I want a defensive end for my first pick.
Yeah.
Man, would he, they're talking about him for the Heisman Trophy. And when was the last time a defensive end won a Heisman Trophy? Usually it's somebody that scores points or passes, or you know what I mean? Yeah. Usually a quarterback or a running back or a wide receiver. And the last defensive player to win the Heisman was Charles Woodson from Michigan. So there's precedent. But it happens every 25 years, they get a defensive player that wins the Heisman.
Yeah, so they need to build up the defense, and they need to get at least 2 or 3 good running backs. Their defensive backs, they need some help, and they definitely need a rush. So they need to get at least another good.
They said
defensive tackle.
This guy that replaced Swift. Swift was the guy that got hurt that's been doing the most running for us.
Yeah,
and he's doing well enough that he's in, when they list all the running backs for the whole league. All 60 running backs, whatever it is, he's in the top half. So at least he's done that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's done that well working with the Lions. So I give, it's like Barry Sanders. He's even more amazing knowing that he had to run all those years for the Lions.
Yeah. And, if they could get that Michigan State kid,
oh man,
that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, they only got 2 draft picks though. 2 first-round draft picks. We'll have to see. You know what? You just never know. This new GM seems to be a little bit more attuned as to what's going on around the rest of the league, and he might be able to make a decent trade. He's the one that he worked with the Rams. We got him from the Rams.
Yes,
and that connection he had with the Rams allowed us to make that Stafford trade.
Yeah.
And, the Stafford trade doesn't trade dividends this year. In fact, the Rams are better with Stafford than we were. And so, but the dividends pay with all those draft picks we're going to get for him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that'll be, I think the team next year is going to be quite a change for people.
I hope so. I'm 61. And they haven't won a championship since 3 years before I was born. So
there you go. Yeah.
People who have lived and died that never saw the Lions win a championship. We got the Tigers. The Tigers have 4 American League pennants in my lifetime. The Pistons have 3 NBA championships. The Red Wings, I lost count of how many times they've won stuff.
Yeah,
they won 4 Stanley Cups, but they've been in the playoffs like most of my life.
Yeah, they're hardly ever left out of the playoffs. Yeah.
They had the Lions win 1 playoff game between 1957's championship and this year. 1. And that's not even they didn't win the championship. They won 1 playoff game. They won the next playoff game. They lost the next playoff game. They just won the first one. So they couldn't even get to the Super Bowl. So and there was a guy who was one of the former Vikings coaches was ranting on a radio station about they got to fire the Vikings coach because he lost to the Lions. It was a great clip. He just I don't think we have to fire him. He should resign in shame. He lost to the Lions.
In shame.
In shame.
How could you lose to the Lions?
Let's see what else is going on here. Chris Cuomo got fired. Nah, it's not a story. I'm not sure what he did that helped his brother out, but
well, he just didn't pursue the story for the most part.
Oh, yeah, what? He's an anchor. Anchors don't pursue. You send a reporter. Have a reporter go out there and investigate it. But is Chris Cuomo calling off the reporter saying, it's not a real story?
Yeah.
Giselle Maxwell's trial started. And that's another one. She's got another one where I think she's being tried because they don't have Epstein to try.
Yeah.
And
but
so
she was heavily involved in that whole process.
She was heavily involved, but I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm an expert on pimps and prostitutes, but pimps work that way, where they get their girls to be in on the deal. Look, I'm not going to make you fuck everybody the way I did when I was beating your ass. If you help me get new younger girls, you know what I mean? And I'm sure they don't say it that way, but isn't that kind of how sex trafficking works? I don't know. I can't. I don't want to sound knowledgeable on this because people will think I know something about it. I don't.
I know I'm in taxi world and trucking world, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hey, Mr. Taxi Man. So when the guy jumps in at the airport and says, "Take me where the action is," what do you do? Take him down to the track or something?
No, I take him to the bookstore. That's where the action is for me.
There you go. Take me where the action is. You take him to a tire store. Oh, I thought you said traction. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. But no, if they're going to ask me that, honestly, I don't know. I'll take you to there's a strip club downtown. I can take you there, and maybe they'll figure out for you. That's what I usually do. I take them to the Deja Vu or something like that.
Oh yeah, that used to be right across the street from the Un Club. That's another reason I like the Un Club. That was sort of that location at the Mix was so great. Some of those people we would get in there were such characters. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to kick the Deja Vu out of there. So
yeah, maybe we could,
maybe I will tell you one thing. When there was one guy from Australia who knew where to go in Ann Arbor to hook up.
Really?
For such an event. You remember that it was a year-long deal, but they had all these Asian massage parlors in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
They're like 1 or 2. They're all string along 94.
Yeah.
And so they figured out that there was prostitution going on inside.
Yeah, that was my joke. Don't you remember that? Yeah. I do that joke, and then I can always depend on some Asian massage parlor getting busted for prostitution every 6 months, so I can keep that. That joke has been going on and on for like 28 years now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What is the joke? I got to hear it again.
I said, did you hear about these massage parlors along 94 that got busted? Asian massage parlors for being a prostitution ring. I go, massage and prostitution. Who put these two together?
Who put those two together? Yeah.
I have an image of the Vice Squad sergeant in front of his crew every Friday morning, going, all right, we're gonna bust this place. Has anybody not investigated? Anybody not investigated? No, I just want to see the people who have not investigated this place yet. Charlie, you've been in 5 times. Let these rookies get a shot here.
We're gonna have to bust them soon.
Yeah, and I need you to resubmit your report because all the pages were stuck together. All right. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's the dirtiest joke in my act, actually. In fact, I lead with that joke often in Ann Arbor because I get to tell the story about telling the joke in front of my mother, which is another funny story.
Well, I remember, like, I don't know how they get. I don't know if they get away with it, but the happy ending is not considered a sexual thing.
Really?
For some reason. So, as long as everybody's clothed except for the person.
I guess if they call it the melancholy ending, then
the melancholy ending. Yes.
The melancholy ending.
There we go. The Leaning Tower of Pizza. There we go.
How about the protein delivery? I don't know what to call it.
Protein delivery. The ennui effect. How's that?
The ennui effect. The suddenly sleepy feeling.
Yes. I'm so sleepy from boredom now. I can only exhaust myself now.
I was just trying to get to sleep, Mom.
That's all. Okay, all right. Yeah, have your happy ending. See you later.
I think if you end a session with the song "Happy Talk" while administering the happy ending, I think that they should give some consideration for that as not being illegal.
Got it.
That way, when the officer's on the outside in the ears, happy ending. Talk about things you like to do.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm sure Bill Clinton would know the definition of what it was. So
I'm sure he would. I mean, I'm sure Clinton probably knows what a dirty Sanchez is. So,
oh, God.
Not that I do. I'm not saying I do.
I don't know. That's slang. I know I work in taxis and trucks, but I don't know all the slang, guy. Yeah.
That is such a great catch line. I mean, you could do a whole act where you could say, "I know I work in taxis and trucks, but I don't know all the slang." Like every joke that doesn't hit, you go every time you don't get a laugh. You go, "I know I work in taxis and trucks, but
I don't know all the slang, kids."
I might have to steal that one. I like that one. I know I don't work in taxis and trucks. I know I work in taxis and trucks. That's so funny.
But I have to steal. All right, we'll both use the line. We'll figure out who it fits best. All right.
All right. Let me see here. Okay, let's go to my quiz. Here's on my prepared. All right, President Biden renominated, which means he's going in for a second term now. Somebody this week. Do you want me to name the office and you tell me who it was, or do you want me to tell you who it was and you name the office? I'll let you pick the question that's asked.
So I'm going to say renominated.
Biden renominated. Now this is a second 4-year term, which means Trump would have nominated him the first time, and Biden says, "I'm renominating this guy," even though Trump nominated him the first time.
Oh, the guy in charge of the money.
I'll give you that. All right. So the guy at Federal Reserve. Now, do you want to guess his name, or do you want me to tell you his name?
No, just tell me his name.
He's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. His name is Jerome Powell.
Okay, Jerome Powell. All right.
All right.
I will remember half these names after we end the show. I will. Promise.
All right. Okay. 3 white men were charged with killing an unarmed black man in Georgia. Do you want to name the name of the town, one of the 3 white men who were convicted, or the victim? I'll give you the choice of which one you want to name.
I'm going to try and guess the name of the town.
All right. It's in Georgia.
It's in Georgia. Would it be Atlanta?
It's not Atlanta. Go to the next letter in the alphabet.
Oh, God. B.
Begins with a B.
Benoit?
No. Brunswick, Georgia.
Sorry. Okay.
All right.
I know the story. I know that he was jogging, and the three gentlemen, one was a camera, and the two people, one guy stopped the guy, and the other guy shot the guy. And they're trying to do, as they were saying, they were trying to do a arrest, a
Citizens
arrest,
right?
Which doesn't exist anymore in that state.
Correct.
And they were armed to the teeth, and they basically shot this kid, who basically just looked at an area, wasn't trying to pick anything out, and he was shot for being black, as far as I know.
And oddly enough, that was his defense. That was their defense. I mean, the three men, that seemed to be their defense, and it was sort of like, because they're cross-examining the prosecutor's cross-examining. Did he look like he taking? No. Was he running away from me? No. Was he armed? No. In other words, their whole defense was, we're white, he's black. How could you convict us? And that type of thing.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. How about, okay, now there's a country in Europe, and the president says that another country is planning to help a coup in his country to overtake and replace him as president. Do you want the name of the country that's having its government change, the country that's helping the coup, or the name of the president? Which one
I'm going to say it's the Ukraine.
It is Ukraine. Yep.
And Putin is trying to amass troops on the border.
You got it.
To create what they call a soft coup.
Soft coup, correct. Basically, you amass troops, and then what you do is you tell the people on your side in the Ukraine, all right, go ahead, we're here. Do what you need to do, and we'll be here to help you if you need backup, type of thing. That's how those things work. But we're in support of that president because he's a former stand-up comic. So
yeah, well, he was voted by a democratic process.
Who cares about Democrats? Nobody cares about democratic process.
So the question is, all I hear that Biden is going to do is create sanctions. There's no talk of actually going in and giving these guys weaponry or anything like that. So, and we were barked out of the sea there. We couldn't take our Navy ships in because Putin told us not to. So,
all right. Stephen Sondheim, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Stephen Schwartz, and Alan Menken. Which one of those is no longer alive?
Sondheim.
There we go.
Sondheim. Whose first written production has been raped by Spielberg?
Really? They consider that a rape?
Well, I don't know. I honestly think, do you think that they needed to make a new movie about West Side Story?
I didn't think so. But you know what? Both Sondheim has seen it and endorsed it, and Rita Moreno was one of the executive producers on it. She made the thing. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll go see it.
She has money behind it, so.
All right, I'll go see it, but I don't understand why they had to remake it. No,
I can wait till it's on. I can wait till it's on Netflix or Disney Plus or something.
Yeah, I think so. I'll wait till it's on. I love Rita Moreno is great. I just don't see why you have to make a new film when the old one is actually great.
Which Central American country just elected their first female leader? Last week, since our last show.
Hang on a sec. Central American country?
Central America. That means north of the Panama Canal and south of Mexico.
South of Mexico.
I'll give you four. I'll give you four if you want to take a guess from four.
No, hang on. No. Oh, you give me four countries?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, give me the four countries.
Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, or Costa Rica? Which of those countries elected the first female president?
Honduras.
Oh, you got it. Good job.
Thank you.
This one is a gimme for anybody from this area. But I'm going to read it anyway. But we're hoping to have other people on the show that weren't from this area that may not have gotten this one. But here it is. The FBI confirmed that it recently searched a landfill in New Jersey for the possible remains of this labor leader.
Oh,
You want to take a guess which remains of a
Hoffa.
late Hoffa, right?
Hoffa.
Uh,
Yeah, New Jersey makes sense, though, you know?
all right. Kevin Strickland was a 62-year-old black man who was exonerated and released from a Missouri prison after spending 43 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. How much money was donated into his help us account, or what do they call those things? Whatever the money raising accounts. What do they call? I can't remember what they call them now.
I'm going to say $10 million.
$1 million. That's still a lot of money. That's still enough to live on. Okay, what else we got here? Fastest selling album of the year was just released last week. So all the other albums had a whole year to beat this album. But this album beat everyone else in 1 week in sales. What was the album? Who was this? How about just who was the singer? That is an easy one. And then I'll ask you what the album was.
It's the woman.
Okay, I'll give you a quarter of a point for that. It is a woman. Yes.
And it's begins with an E. The first letter is E.
Begins with an A.
Oh.
But I know what you're thinking, yeah. Keep going in that direction.
Oh, God. I can't think of it now. I can think of the songs.
Adele.
Yeah.
Adele.
I thought it started with an E. Adele. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that could have started with an E. This one was mentioned. This one was mentioned in my wife's poem, so it should be an easy one. Who was charged with contempt of Congress this week?
Oh.
Give you a hint. He was in Trump's Justice Department. He was subpoenaed by Congress and he refused to show, so they hit him with a contempt charge.
He was the guy. He had that newspaper thing.
I don't know what he had, but he's got a contempt of Congress charge against him.
So,
why do they want to protect this guy so much? I just don't understand it.
I don't know. What's it? I almost forgot all of his clan there. I can't think of it. It's the guy who was in charge of the newspaper that fascist newspaper.
I can't think of that one either.
Brettback. What is it called?
I don't know.
I give up.
Jeffrey Clark.
Clark.
Jeffrey Clark was.
According to Wikipedia, Jeffrey Bossert Clark is an American lawyer who served as Assistant Attorney General for the Environment and Natural Resources Division from 2018 to 2021.
Wow,
that guy.
Yeah, I remember seeing him. I think he testified before the impeachment hearings. I might be wrong. In September of last year, just before the election, he was appointed. He moved from the Natural Resources Division to the head of the Civil Division, which I think he was needed to testify about the January 6th thing. Let me see what else I know about him. He looks... no, he doesn't look familiar. Oh, well. Let's see what else have I got here. That's about it. So you did our news quiz. You did a good job on our news quiz there. Would have been fun if you had some competition, but you're declared the winner.
Okay.
You're the winner of the news quiz. We're also at 9:30, so I think we're going to end the broadcast here. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being in your car and doing it from your car. It gives you that on-the-road presence that you've already established in our show, but now it just solidifies it even more. So
I may be a taxi driver and a trucker, but I usually do stuff from my car. Here we go.
That's hilarious. Anyway, it's good to see everybody. We're here every Monday night at 8 o'clock until further notice. I'm still thinking of moving it to another time, but right now, Monday night at 8 is working. It didn't work as well this week, but I'll get a hold of everybody and see what we can do. And I'm sure that Kurum and Brandy and Tim and whoever complained about me last week will enjoy this show. So I'll send a note out for them to watch this one. Because this one, everybody got to talk on this one because there were only two of us. So
there's only two of us. There we go. Hey, I appreciate that. All right.
We'll talk to you later. I'm gonna sign off now, and I'll let you know when we're off the air.